And today we have someone who was so many years in the game, man, over 2 decades and then some in doing what she does. So I think because I have a lot of questions, I'm just gonna go ahead and introduce her.
Before you go ahead and introduce her, remember we're gonna be live on YouTube, okay? Using if you use that handle, Radio Gen KE on YouTube, we're gonna be live right there. The goodness with that stream is you can release the comment that you have right there, and I'll see it over here in real time. We're still going to be live on X, so if you're very snug and safe over there, you can just hang around there. We're also live on Facebook, for those guys who Bashir likes talking about, on Radio Generation Kenya. So whichever you please, whichever you fancy, you can choose the one that you like. But just know we are live on social media platforms and we are live on the air.
Yeah. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Our guest tonight is a psychologist with over 23 years of experience helping people heal, grow, and rediscover balance in their lives. She began her career working with children and adolescents, but shifted her focus during the pandemic when adults and couples began facing new levels of stress, anxiety, and relationship strain. She's passionate about trauma recovery, grief counseling, and helping people rebuild emotionally and relationally. Empathetic, insightful, and grounded in evidence-based practice. Please welcome the one, the only, Anita Awuor.
Hey, karibu sana.
MA.
Thank you.
Counseling Psychology.
Yes, sir.
MA stands for Masters.
Yes.
Okay.
You do you have a master's? You?
Sina MA.
Your ML.
Mimi niko na MR.
What is that?
Mister.
That's your title. No, but karibu sana. So, thank you for making the time to come hang out with us over here on the Wind Down. My first question, and I even told you this before we got on the air, what does a counseling psychologist do?
A counseling psychologist is a level of training, I think, first of all. So I do have a master's in counseling psychology, and it's a way that we are taught to talk to people, interact with people. We can see where their problems are and then help them to come to a new way to live their lives.
So you did a master's in counseling psychology. What did you do for undergrad?
A BA in psychology.
Oh, same thing.
So that means you're gonna title BA.
At least you have that. Is it something that you really wanted to do growing up?
Yes. I was always told I was a good listener. I listened to people. So I think it was something I always wanted to do.
I think you are a good listener. From how you even walked in here, you're looking at us,
analyzing.
Yeah, she's like, oh.
Have you detected any issues so far?
Do you get a lot of that when people find out that you're a counseling psychologist? Do you get a lot of people trying to get you to therapize them?
No, it's to try and get me to not therapize them.
Oh, okay.
Because they'll try. They fear, I guess, what I'll figure out or what I'll see.
Yeah.
In observing or listening to them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We were talking about this earlier, and we're going to get into grief as we go along. How do you listen to all these people coming to share some of the issues that they have and leave that at the office and not take it back home?
I think I learned to have a very, very visual picture of me being a therapist and walking into the room. And I guess there's something different about me when I become the therapist, in the way that I listen, in the questions that I ask, and how I interact with my clients. And then I take off the hat when I leave.
Oh,
so
okay.
I literally leave it there in my office, even if my office at home or where I work. It's like sometimes it's a conscious effort. When I used to work with children, it was trying not to let parts of myself, like being a mom, come into the therapy. I had to remain a therapist even in the session.
So did you have to grow into that skill of leaving the stuff in the office? It's something you have to learn how to do.
Yes. I don't think any profession that you do, you are just an expert at it. You learn it. and you learn by experience.
And generally speaking, sorry to keep in this line of thought, when you have a partner, and I'm speaking generally, you're married, you have a partner, I am a therapist. Do you feel like sometimes your partner could feel that you're psychoanalyzing them? Check it, only psychoanalyze. Nah, where you're psychoanalyzing me? No, stop that.
I don't like when you're quiet.
Yeah.
I think that's a question to ask him. But anyway, I think that I think that's not his fear. I think that I'm so much not a therapist because I become human that my therapy goes out the window. What I have learned goes out the window, and I become very human.
Okay.
I mean, just a question. I'm asking this because I've never gone to therapy before. So all the knowledge I have about therapists is from movies and all that. What is the role
from watching The Sopranos?
What is the role of that seat? You know that seat, like you go there and you sort of lie down. And does it? Do you have that in your office? Or are they misrepresenting?
Whenever there's a depiction of a therapist in the movies, it's mostly a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist is the one who has that image of the seat of lying down. Is it the truth in the reality? No, it's not. It's very different. There's some shows that I watch where I'm like, that's what I do. Like they pick it spot on.
Okay.
There are other shows where I'm like, oh my god. That it's just because it's just so different. It's just not what it is.
Yeah.
No, my clients don't lie down on a seat. I will never ask, how did that make you feel? Which is a question people think we ask all the time. I might ask it in a different way, but I don't ask that question. Yeah.
So is therapy, this is the street information, therapy you're paying someone just to listen to you?
It's not just to listen.
I'm just a reporter.
I hope you're psychoanalyzing this guy.
It's not just to listen.
You're just paying someone just to listen to you. You can just come to the bar and then we just talk about these things. What's up with you, man?
Oh, you're a hairdresser for women.
Yeah?
But no, we don't. It's not just paying you to listen. I think for me, any therapeutic interaction takes something out of you.
Okay.
Because part of it is getting to what hurts the person the most, to what makes them tick, to those painful points. And it's such an honor to be able to do that.
Okay.
And to hold those secrets and that pain. And to hold it forever.
Yeah.
So it's not just to listen.
But you said there's a difference between a psychiatrist and a psychologist. Like
Yes.
what you do. What's the difference?
So one of the first differences we say is psychiatrists can medicate, and psychiatrists are also a specialization of training to be a doctor. So they first do general medicine. So you can be a cardiologist, you can be a neurologist, you can be a psychiatrist.
Okay.
As a psychologist, I cannot medicate. So if my client needs medication, maybe they're suicidal, maybe they have severe anxiety, I will refer to a psychiatrist.
Okay.
So that would be one of the biggest differences. So the training, the how we interact with our clients is also very different.
So is mental health at the level you'd want it to be in Kenya? Because I remember when I was growing up, we used to watch psychologists, psychiatrists on TV. There was a show called Sopranos. So there was this gangster he was a gangster in the movie, the head of the crime family, an Italian family. So part of the script was that he'd go see a therapist. And so we used to say when I was growing up, this thing is an American thing, the depression ni hizo ni shida za western, the west, si hatuna shida kaa hizo. So there's been a lot of education about mental health here, but do you feel like we are somewhere yet, in your opinion?
I think that we have moved so far from where we were when I began. I think there have been changes, and there have been positive changes. One, I think, is the board the Kenya Psychological and Counseling Board, which we all have to be members of, like the medical board, which has checks and measures for us. And I think that was just such an important step for us to move in the right direction.
The formation of the board?
The formation.
Is it recent?
Gosh.
Maybe last 10 years or 20?
Definitely the last 10 years.
Okay.
The formation and we have the first board members running. And so they are establishing checks and measures for us. That we didn't have before in how we can practice, in what levels can do what. And I think that was just, for me, just such an important step in the right direction.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Okay, if we can move into some local specifics. The other day we lost the former Prime Minister, and there was a lot of chatter online on the way people were grieving. So like me, I was switched on my TV and I saw someone on top of the gate in Parliament, and I was like, yo. So there was, it elicited a lot of conversation online. Some people are saying you should grieve quietly. Some people are saying leave these other guys alone, let them grieve the way they know to grieve. If they want to climb a gate, they want to climb a tree, just leave them. But what were your I don't know if you observed that, and what were your thoughts around how we as Africans, Kenyans specifically, deal with grief?
So I think that there's a distinction between grief and mourning.
Okay.
Grief is the internal expression of what you're going through. So it can be emotional, it can be physical, you don't want to eat, you can't sleep.
Okay.
Mourning is the outward expression. So some of the stuff that you saw, this could be rituals, it could be customs, it could be, and different parts of Kenya grieve so differently. In Western Kenya, where I'm from, it's so different to how it is in Central Kenya, to how it is in each and every place grieves differently in the outward expression that they have. For some, it is quiet.
Yeah.
So for those who come from those areas where it's quiet, they're going to be very uncomfortable when they come to Western Kenya, where it's very different. It is a celebration of life.
Okay.
Especially right after the funeral.
After?
Yes.
This komatanga.
Right after the person is buried, there's a real celebration of life, which can be quite disconcerting to those who have not experienced that before.
Oh, okay.
But it's the way that they do it. And when you hear someone mourn and wail, they are expressing who that person was to them. And that, it's... Sometimes I wish that we all could understand what they're saying, to hear what that expression means. And I think that no one should take that away from anybody. We all do it differently, whether it's here, whether it's in UK, whether it's in England, they call it a wake.
Yeah.
What they do before. But that's just the mtanga, where you come, you condole with the person, share memories. If it's done in a church, there's prayer and maybe a little sermon. For some, they bury first, and then they mourn after. They have 40 days of mourning after. Yes. It's not just the burial. So each and every... The grief then is the internal process that can take years. And there's so many different types of grief, and each of them will have a different impact on the person.
But generally speaking, I hope I don't interrupt your train of thought. Generally speaking, is there, if we compare cultures, like you've mentioned what they do. I remember my friend passed on in the States. His name is George. And they had a small meeting. Actually, the service was right there, the funeral parlor. And then they went straight and buried my buddy. And then there was the funeral of my dad, which took 2 weeks. I'm from Western Kenya, I'm Luya. So it took 2 weeks, and it was a lot of, back and forth. He died in Eldoret, just to put you up to speed on the story. He died in Eldoret. Our farm is 30 kilometers from Eldoret, but they took him and brought him to Nairobi. And then he was taken to one of the funeral homes around. We had him around for, around maybe 10 days. Then he flew back to Eldoret, and then now back to the farm now for the, for the funeral. And you're looking at from outside, you're like, yo, are you guys serious? So if you compare ways people grieve, because I have friends from Central Province who after somebody passes on at the funeral home, you view the body. After that, they close the coffin. At least the ones I've gone to, and then they go, and then you're buried. And then I was telling my friends from Central about Luyaland, where the body is taken to Shags, put in a house. They open the casket. Then people just come in, go next to the body, look at it, wail. Like during the day, you can just be chilling. Then you say, my dad is dead. Let me go back, look at him. You're like, hey, dad, hey. And then you go back and do whatever you're doing. So saying this other method, the Luya one has closure, because we interact, with the body. And then at the end, when he's put in the ground, you're like, I've seen him for 3 days, he's dead. This other one for Central, unamwona kwa funeral home, suddenly he's been buried. Okay? Now there's the third one for Bashir here, who's Muslim. Yeah. Right? So your person, like, if you can allow me to share,
okay.
your dad, his dad passed on, and he told me in the Muslim culture, if you die in the morning, in the evening, you're 6 feet under, potentially. Still.
Yeah, the earlier the better. We don't have that process. As long as we pray for your body,
you're out
by afternoon. Yeah, and just to piggyback on your question, like, how important is that? Because we saw even when Raila passed, like the viewing of the body was such a... It was so important, like, because my sister never got to see my dad because she was traveling all the way. By the time she's coming, he was already buried, and up to now I don't feel like she's not accepted it. Like, just to piggyback on your point, like how important is that? Just seeing that this person is.
So question number one: is there a better way? Is there a good way to go through this? Is there a higher level of a better system? And then number two, yours was
the importance of seeing the body.
Yes. So we can start with number one.
Is there a better way? I don't know. I think they're just all different, and I think they all need to be respected. And I think there are advantages and disadvantages of both. Okay. I think that you learn them because of where and how you were raised. I'll probably come back to that in a bit, but the viewing of the body, I think it's also a very personal thing. For some people, it's very important. Even for some people, they just want to remember the person how they were. So it's very hard to view bodies. They don't want to remember them in the coffin. So even if they're given the opportunity and they're from Western Kenya, they wouldn't view. So I think viewing the body is a very personal choice. I remember when my mother-in-law died and my son was like, I think he was 6 and he wanted to. And everyone was like, no, you can't do that. I was like, why? He wants to. And so for me, it was not... And he had his questions after, and he asked them, and then it was... For him... That's what he wanted at that time. Now, at this age that he is, he doesn't want to anymore.
Oh, okay.
So I think that it's a very personal experience.
Has your question been answered?
Yeah.
I think my question was like 10 minutes long.
I think in the middle of asking your question, you answered it.
No. So the grief has stages.
Yes. 5.
Okay.
The first is denial. And they don't go... So first, let me say, they don't go in order. So I'll read them how I remember them. I'll say them how I remember them, and then they don't go in order, and you can go back and forth. The first is denial. The second is anger. So anger at the world, sometimes anger at God, sometimes anger at the person themselves, depending on how they died. bargaining. If this happens, if there's a lot of bargaining, depression, so the sadness, and then finally is acceptance. And the acceptance, I think, is coming to a place where you find a new normal without this person.
Okay. So can you oscillate from you get to acceptance, then you find your way back at denial?
Maybe not denial, but I think the emotion parts, because once you've come to accept the acceptance, you know that the person has gone. The denial can run through all the rest, and then all the rest can run through with acceptance, because you can still be angry, but you've accepted it. You can still question, but you've accepted it. You can still ask those why questions. And many times one of the places where I have witnessed anger most is when death is by suicide.
Why is that one particularly more
Because
upsetting?
the person took the choice to take their life, even though the person was suffering. And I think I mentioned this before we started. There are so many different types of grief. One is disenfranchised grief, where you can't name, it's not accepted by society. So for a long time, suicide was a crime in Kenya. I think it just changed this year.
Oh, it's no longer a crime. Okay.
No. And it's yeah. So how do you grieve that person? There's so much stigma around it. You can't even say this, you're not going to write that in the newspaper.
Like even you can't use that word now on many social media sites.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to change it to unalive.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I'm not. I'm just sharing with you. Like it's that serious.
Struggle.
You know, it's
yes. That's what disenfranchised grief would be. It could be, I think about miscarriages or stillborns, or it's not difficult for the person who has experienced to grieve that, but for society to accept it.
And like with disenfranchised grief, is it the same even when you break up with someone, like you in a marriage?
That would be relational grief, with the loss of a relationship. So you're not only grieving the loss of the person, you're grieving the future you envisioned. You're grieving the happily ever after. You're grieving disenfranchised grief could come in if everyone knows this relationship is over, the person passes away, and you don't know where to place the grief in your life.
Oh, right. So disenfranchised, the person has passed away.
Yes, yes, the one where the person hasn't passed away, is anticipatory grief. That's normally with terminal illness, where you can see the person, maybe stage 4 cancer, you can see the person slowly fading away. The person that you knew and loved is no longer there. That's anticipatory grief. And it can be ages, because they're not quite gone, but they're also not quite there. It can be so hard.
Okay, now that we're talking about that, what would you advise as a professional, like something you can tell someone who's going through that sort of, terminal sickness? Do you just sit and look at them? Like sometimes it's really hard. I remember the last time I saw my sister, who she passed on, but the last time I was with her in the HD ward, we knew it's grim, but I didn't know what to tell her. So most of the time, what normally happens is you don't know what to tell them, or you don't know what to talk about with them. Yes, you love them. So the next, option would be just not to show up because you're feeling too much pain.
Yes, and I think that many people do take that option, and I think that sometimes that is what the person wants, for you to sit there in silence. Maybe a question could be, what do you need right now? It could be the person for you to become the comedian, for you to tell a joke.
To cut the tension.
Yes, it
to
could
break
be.
the tension.
it could be for you to listen to how difficult the journey is or was for her. It could be to for her to just say, to be strong. It could be for her to have a not strong moment.
Yeah.
And sometimes silence is the best.
Why are we so afraid of silence?
Because it can get uncomfortable. Because there's so many questions in your mind, in your heart, in that silence.
There's that feeling you feel inside, especially say when you break up with someone or someone passed on. There's a pain. You see, if I have a headache, I can go and buy one of those dolls, and I pop it, and then my headache is gone. Mara moja, But now there's that pain you feel inside here, and it's
like a physical pain.
Yeah, you feel it, but there's nothing you can take to get rid of that pain. How is there a word for that pain, and how do you deal with that?
I think that's part of grief, because it can be emotional, it can be physical in what you're feeling. It can be, I think those are the two main things, emotional and physical.
Mm-hmm.
So the physical could be, like I said earlier, not sleeping, not eating, not wanting to engage with people, wondering why the people around you are sharing stories that make you laugh, wondering why there's no laughter. It could be all of that. The physical could be that pain you're talking about. I don't think grief is ever stagnant. And when it first happens, it consumes your whole life, and then it finds a place. And I don't think it ever really goes. And I think that grief is a respect of the person. Grief is giving the person, it's an honor, because they meant something to you. Every single person you grieve meant something to you.
Yeah, that's a powerful thing. Like grief shows your
respect.
Yeah.
I mean, when we talk about, you've spoken about, the mental and the physical. And even to go back to you talking about the board being established, just quite recently, there is a lot of emphasis on physical health, but there isn't a lot of emphasis, at least now I'm seeing it, on like mental health. And sometimes this mental health can manifest itself physically. I feel like a good example is stress. Like when you have a lot of stress, it can actually manifest itself physically in your body, So what are some of the things that you guys in your profession are trying to push for people to understand that mental health is as important as physical health? Because it's always like, if you're not sick, kama umwi na tumbo ama kichwa, utakuwa sawa. But sometimes it's like, the mind is like the control of everything. Like if the mind is not okay, you are not okay. So what are some of the things that you guys are doing to at least people to know that it's equally important for both?
I think, there's so many of these days. There's there is Mental Health Day, there is World Mental Health Day, there is World Suicide Day, there is and there are just so many ways in which I guess we can start to break the stigma and start to, one, I think it begins by being willing to talk about it, being willing to say what it is and what it's not. And I think because you can't see it. If I walked in here and I was like, had this deep cut, you'd see it and you'd want to do something.
Concerned, yeah.
Right? If I was at the hospital, I probably would be taken to the front of the line. But then no one can know what it is I'm thinking and experiencing, even sitting here in this room. So it's so personal, right?
Yeah.
And it's so internal. And I think it's knowing that the professional therapist, the professional psychologist is there to help you untangle that. is there to help you to know that many of the, if we're talking about grief, many of those things that you're experiencing are normal. They're terribly painful, but they're normal. If someone comes to me and they have just buried the person, my therapy would be very different to the person who has come to me who the person died 10 years before. For the person who someone has just passed, it's all I can do is listen and to untangle everything, listen to all the questions they might have. And sometimes you don't feel you're doing much, but that's all you can do. I think some of the most painful moments is to experience, like if a parent of a young child passes. So you're also dealing with your grief as the parent who has remained behind, and you are dealing with the grief of your child. Too many times they bring them in, like, you have to let them experience it.
Yeah.
They love their father, they love their mother. You can't take that away from them.
I have a question. Now, we've talked about the types of grief. Like right now, many people in this country are going through a lot of grief. You can tell from the social media posts, especially specifically about the death of the former Prime Minister. If I'm going through it, what are some of the steps to take as a pathway out of grief?
I don't know if there's a pathway out of grief. I think that one of the things you do need to do is accept that this is what you're experiencing. To accept the pain, to accept the questions, to accept whatever emotion it is. And sometimes you don't want to experience, you're not allowed to experience certain emotions. You know, we discussed earlier, men, they might not be allowed to cry. And yet it's all a part of the experience that you're going to have. So being able to have that, I think, is the first step. Being able to experience that, no matter what it is and where it takes you. So for the person, it's being able to sit in that pain. For some, it starts with the times people come to your house to talk to you, for you hearing stories or memories about the person that passed. That can be the beginning of it, seeing a different side of that person. Maybe you hear your dad's friend talking about your dad and you're like, my dad used to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You get a different picture of who they used to be.
Yeah.
And so allowing yourself to feel that might not be a pathway completely to being out of it, but it's the beginning. It's the beginning.
I remember my small brother, when we were eulogizing my dad in church, so my younger brother was telling me, hey, those things I was hearing you guys saying about dad, hey, I was wondering who that is.
Am I in the right funeral?
He was like, man, that is a very different person from the guy who used to fix me thoroughly. But in this world, I don't even know if we're given that time to grieve, like over the holiday. Because of the mourning period, we had the holiday on Friday. Over the weekend, we had the burial. Monday, there was a holiday. Boom, we are back at work. Do you think most of us, because of the humdrum of city life, we end up just suppressing the feelings that we have, and we get back into day-to-day life?
I don't know if it's city life or the way we're conditioned. I think the real grieving starts when the coffin goes down and everyone starts to leave and you're left behind.
It gets really quiet.
Yes. And everyone is continuing their life. You are wondering how to continue your life without this person. And that journey takes different amounts of time for different people. That journey can take different amounts of time for who the person was to you. And it can't be rushed. It can't be, you might have to continue with this sense of normalcy, but inside, I don't think, no matter how busy we are, I don't think that goes. I think there is still a loss.
At many of these funerals, I don't know if I don't know why we do this, because we stand up and say what we're gonna do for the
family.
Yeah. Cheki sasa mimi as Emmanuel, huyu kijana simama. I'm going to take care of you. And then we just leave and, we just go back to day-to-day life. Is it convenient for the mind to put those thoughts at the back? Because it's inconvenient calling up, following up, like...
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's a way to look at it. I think that sometimes it's very difficult as humans to face pain. So you want to put it away, inhibit it, put it somewhere. And it still remains and it will come out.
Yeah. You just leave it there.
Yeah, but I mean, you've had experience, dealing with children and adolescents, and also now, couples and grown-ups. And when I talk to a lot of my friends, even Emmanuel, like a lot of the trauma that we have is from like our childhood, our upbringing. Like, what is the difference in dealing with like a kid and like a grown-up now? Because a lot of people, we talk to them, they're like, when I was like, it's always childhood trauma. It's never like, what's the difference, like dealing with trauma that you can see maybe this is starting to manifest now and I need to sort of put an end to it before it becomes something else, and someone who's strayed with that trauma ever since they were a kid and now it's sort of blowing up and manifesting itself.
So I think with the child, I'd work with the trauma. With the adult, I work with the effects of that trauma. So it might not necessarily be with the trauma itself, but with the effects of the trauma. And like, it can be a fine balance. And for some, it could be, repressed memories coming back. So it could be very hard to think about those things, but they're still affecting their life. It could be in the way they handle relationships. It could be in the way they react when there's conflict. It could be, and so I'll deal with those effects
instead of now of
going back into the trauma. And would I need, or maybe at some point have context? Yes, but it's more the effects of the trauma now.
So if is it a must I be going through issues to seek out therapy, or it can just be a habitual thing that people can accept into their lives?
It can be both. I think some people come in because they need someone to untangle stuff. Some come because they are going through a loss. Maybe not even. It could be the loss of a job. It could be the loss of anything. It could be an accumulation of losses. It could be trauma. But for some, it is about something they know they need, but they might not have the one thing they need to work on. So they'll come in once a month, or when they need it, or it might start consistent and then go to like top-up sessions.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So does therapy give you this is what you should do answers? Like after a couple of sessions, you tell me, Emmanuel, what you need to do is X, Y, and Z.
No, but I'll ask questions to get you to that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how
to
many?
See it for yourself.
Or you get me to see think what I should do.
Not necessarily. I'll
point you in the right direction.
Yes. Or in a direction, or in directions. So they could be different paths you could potentially take, and we look at them till you come to because it's your life, and it's you who's going to leave the therapy room and live that life. So I can't tell you what you should do.
Yeah.
But what if my conclusion is not the correct conclusion?
But there's no wrong conclusion.
There's no wrong conclusion.
No. Well,
because this path maybe I'm gonna continue sniffing the coke and then this other path is I'm gonna try stop sniffing the coke.
Yes.
So if I declare that I'm gonna go to this path, you could argue that could be taking you to the wrong direction.
Yes. However, should I, as a therapist, tell you, no, but your conclusion, or you should not be smoking the coke because of all these advantages? Do you really think you're going to stop smoking the coke if you want to continue smoking the coke?
No, I will continue if I want to continue.
Yes. So part of the therapy journey is helping you to reach the point that is best for you. Does it always go in the direction we both want, where we can see the tangible that yes, he stopped smoking the coke? No. But there are many times you do come to see that this is what I want to do. And in whatever decision that you make, I don't think any of those decisions a client makes comes without pain and a cost to some degree.
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about the therapy cost, but a cost. It comes at a cost.
So if we could address a country right now, because now the people in a country, the country is grieving, and I am a leader in that country on different levels, all right? Country, county, but it's a whole group of people going through specific pain. How would you advise me, as that person in that position of leadership, to approach the people, like things to say, like how would you, what advice would you give me
as a leader?
Yeah.
Handle your own grief. Like, deal with your own grief and deal with it as you're grieving your friend, the person you worked with for years, and not as a political agenda. And let I don't know if there's a forum to, I don't know, to say anything at that point. And maybe it's to let people then continue to grieve in the way that they know how. And the grief that I guess the country is going through is community grief, where there's this the tragedy could be an earthquake or a natural event, but it can also be something like this, where there was a leader that was respected, that was loved, that was known, and then he's not there, and what that leaves, the gaps that leaves the country, the gap that leaves the people who are directly influenced by him in their lives, his family. So there are so many different types of emotions that people are handling now.
So you need that emotional intelligence to...
Yeah.
You need to have that in mind.
Yes.
Bashir, the comment section is buzzing over here.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go through it and we'll see what Doc will handle. DJ Stitchy says, greetings from... No, let me start from the top. George Raphael says, dope show kama kawa. Pat Onyango ameweka moto mingi. I think that's a good sign. Evans Thiambo says, Bashir and Emmanuel Kisengani alafu akaweka moto mbili. I think that's also a good sign, right?
Mbona alianza na mimi ama
wewe?
Moto iko kwa nani?
No, I think ni sisi wote. Because ameweka ... alafu moto mbili.
Natuchoma si wote.
I think it's a good motto. So DJ Stitchy says, greetings from Kite, lady and gentlemen. Salute to Madam Anita. What a gift of gab and gentleness. Pat Onyango says, this was a basket I didn't expect to receive today. Great show, great guest. He goes on to ask a question. So I hear people told a lot today that it's okay to cry. So it says, but for a man, is it okay to cry mbele ya your kids? Does it have consequences to the kids and family psychologically, at least? You want to take that up in a minute?
Okay. I think maybe it depends why you're crying. If you come home and you've had a bad day at work and you're crying, maybe it's very different to crying because your father has just passed away, or your mother, or and you show that there's emotion you can have when something happens. So I guess it depends why and when. But I think there is room for it in front of the children.
Yeah, you just check in and then you weep.
Ama you gather them.
Check it. Hey, my boss, hey.
Here, children of Emmanuel, gather around. I want to cry.
It's nasty.
The dad is upset about his boss.
Like he was yesterday.
All right. I hope no, but it's a good question, because sometimes you don't want to feel like you're weak,
traumatizing the kids.
Yeah, there's that too.
And I think that so many times I have heard, the only time I saw my dad cry was, and he'll normally be at a death, but it had not a negative impact, but an impact that they could see that, to see that this other person meant that much to their father, to their brother, to this strong person who never cries, did have an impact on the child, but not a negative one.
It's funny you mentioned that. I never saw my dad cry, man.
Never.
Yeah.
You used to go to funerals with him?
Yeah, I remember when my grandma died, and I remember him clapping like this. Then he said, "Hey!" Like that was the maximum grief.
Same, I've never seen my dad cry either.
But seeing my mom cry was shocking. My mom was crying heavily after my grandma died, and my grandma was my dad's mom. So I was like, yo, she's really, really crying. And then that's not even her mom.
And your dad was just like,
he was like, hey!
I have subcontracted my cries to my wife.
Yeah, it's funny. I've never thought about that. Thuita Gatero says, is it normal not to grieve? Hold on. He's asking, is it normal not to grieve necessarily because of the loss, but because of realizing you are not intentional? When my grandma died, I was in grief for not caring enough for her when alive.
Yes, I think that's part of grief, or can be part of grief.
Okay.
It can be the like regretting things that were not said, regretting, or not so much regret, but how he put it, that, for the times he wasn't there. And I think that, yes, that can be a part of the grieving process.
DJ Stitch also says mental health should be like oral hygiene. It's a daily affair, twice a day, in the morning and before you sleep.
Amen. Nothing else to respond to that.
And Zenani Maria just says great guest, but it's a necessary conversation. But how can we confirm that we're getting this therapy from the right person?
Wow. I don't know, maybe sometimes it's in the changes you see in the person.
No, I'm talking about, is there like a website you can go and say this is a verified practitioner? There is, right?
I think you can now, I guess one way is are they board certified?
Okay.
And I think you can get those details from the board.
Okay.
That might be a good starting point.
Which is a good place to be. Which other question do you have? I have quite a number of questions. Bashir, you can go ahead, meanwhile.
No. I mean, there's a lot of people who are seeing you right now, and maybe they'd like to reach out to you. You do private practice, right?
I do.
So you have your own thing going on?
Yes.
Okay. So how can we, because me and Emmanuel need to come, and we tried to sneak in some free therapy today, but you are dodging them. So how can we come and see how we can untangle this, because this is our therapy. Me and Emmanuel just sit here and joke about these things every night.
Yeah.
But, how can we reach you?
I'm trying to think what
Is there like a website, physical location?
So physical, I think it's easier. I mean, I work on appointment only, so
okay.
I mean, I'm not proud enough to think that people will just walk into my office, but yeah. So the website, I believe does have that details, so I can leave them with you after, and then you can put them on.
Sure.
Yes, we will do that. We've been hanging out with Anita Awuor, and we've been talking about how to handle grief, and we've asked all manner of questions, and we briefed and told her tutauliza maswali from our perspective, but I'm sure you've come out with something, and I just want to say thank you so much for making the time. I hope we'll have you again, because swali as Jesha ziko mingi sana mno, but thank you so much for making the time. We're gonna go up to the top of the hour. This is Radio Generation. The show is called The Wind Down. Don't touch that dial. We'll be back.
This is Radio Generation. The drums are calling, the laughter is rising, the taste of home fills the air. The Somali Cultural and Arts Festival 2025 is here from the 28th to the 30th of November at Two Rivers Mall. Celebrate the beauty of Somali heritage through dance, food, art, storytelling, and fashion that defines identity, where the young meet the wise and the world meets Somalia. Experience 3 unforgettable days of unity, creativity, pride, food, laughter, and togetherness. Powered by Radio Generation, Two Rivers Mall, and Asmali Media. This is Radio Generation. Radio Generation, the home of urban soul.
It's 9 o'clock.
Radio Generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam on.